I'm going to be taking you through my bullet journals. I figure as it's the beginning of September, a lot of people will be getting ready to go back to school or university, or might have even gone back already. Bullet journaling was one of the things that kept me going through my university degree, and it really helped, so maybe this video will help someone else. First things first, I just want to show you these pens. These are the pens I use for my bullet journaling. I do use some watercolour brush pens that I will show you what I use them for in this grey journal, which is my most current one. But these fine liners are what I do most of the writing in, and I've been using this set the entire time I've been bullet journaling. I've been bullet journaling for about 3 years now, so would definitely recommend these pens. They have been so incredibly helpful to me. So the first journal I'm going to take you through is this yellow one. I'll just get these ones out of the way. This was my first ever bullet journal. It's a yellow Leuchtturm 1917 with dotted pages. All of my journals, by the way, I got from Amazon, so if you're looking to find a good bullet journal, I'd recommend Amazon or local bookshops. Just know what you're looking for if you do go looking in person. All of mine had dotted pages because that's what I wanted for my journals, and I would recommend it if you're looking to start it out. As I said, this was my first journal, and I'll take you through it and show you some of the things I got wrong, but just from the outside you might notice that it's a little bit grubby. Because it was such a bright colour, it was really hard to keep clean, and the cover is very hard, which meant it was also quite hard to keep clean in that respect because it would bump into a lot of things. I would recommend this journal for first timers because it has a lot of useful features inside that were useful to me, but if you're looking for a slightly better bullet journal or just notebook in general, I will recommend a different one, which you'll see coming up. So this was what my weekly spreads and daily spreads looked like in this journal. You can see off the bat I had these boxes, which were good for a time, but ended up taking up far too much room. You can see I only have 3 days at most per page. And I wrote out my timetables, which I stopped doing because it took forever. The biggest issue I had with this journal was it took forever to set up. You can see I was very ornate. I had sort of leaves and decorations. At the beginning I had specific species of trees that I wanted to draw, which meant I had to look them up, and you can see if you look closely that I actually coloured them in with the fine liners, which took forever. Later on in the journal, I did stop doing all this ornate stuff and I just had colour schemes, which was easier to keep on top of, but it wasn't as fun. Now what I did with this journal is I did the boxes every morning. One, it was quite hard to keep on top of, so if I didn't get up and I journal that morning, it meant that I didn't have a journal page for that day. I changed that in my later journals, but it's something to keep in mind if you're thinking of setting up a bullet journal. I'll take you back to probably the first spread in my bullet journal. I had an important dates thing which I did not use, and I had a feelings chart. This is quite a common thing in bullet journals, and you can see I had a colour scheme and I had the entire year on one page, which seemed like it would, save time in the long run, but I found it so difficult to keep up with it. You can see I missed loads in October and December. It was just really hard to keep on top of because it was right at the beginning of the journal. This was my second feelings page, and you can see I did not put as much effort into this as I did before. Partly because this one was halfway through the journal, so I couldn't just flip back to the beginning. You'll see that a lot of things I did in this journal I completely scrapped in my next journal. I realised that this journal and this type of journaling just wasn't for me, and I needed something a little bit simpler. Yeah, it was a good journal. I think I learned a lot from it. Eventually I did move on, as we're going to move on now to my second journal. This was my second journal. This lasted from September 2019 to June 2020. It is a Dingbats bullet journal notebook, and what I loved about this one was, one, the cover was a lot softer, and it had this lovely little reverse embossed design on the front, and if we open it up, it has a lovely little fact file spread of the habitat that is featured on the front. I didn't use this very much, and I don't think I read it all the way through, but it was a lovely little touch. It did also come with a pen holder, but I accidentally ripped that out. You might have noticed in my last journal I had a vague colour scheme for each of the months, but every month had several colours attached to it, and it wasn't very differentiating between the months. With this journal, I decided to go through a rainbow theme, so every month had a colour, and later on in the journal, every month had a theme surrounding that colour. I will take you through to June, because June was the last month that I used this for. You can see my spread has already changed drastically. I've got some design work, I've got a little calendar with key dates, and I've got my habit tracker and my mood tracker on the front page. Full disclaimer, this was heavily inspired by the Witch of Wanderlust. She does a series called Plan With Me, and I watched one of her videos and it just inspired me. It inspired me to pick up bullet journaling again, and it's inspired the way I do my spreads, both in this journal and my current journal. And then we go into my to-do list, where I break it down into weeks, and a calendar for my health goals. This is something you'll see in my current journal as well. And then we go into the weekly spreads. You'll see here that unlike my last journal, I have 1 week per page, so I can flick to a week and see all of the days in that week and what I need to do. I'd say this journal was my favourite in terms of use. I'm just going to flick through now. And you can see that my style definitely did change from the beginning of the journal to the end of the journal. Now, you might be thinking, Ella, if this was your favourite journal to use, why did you stop using it? And for that, I need to show you the moment of my biggest shame. Coffee. I spilt coffee on this journal. I was devastated. Whilst I tried to use it after the coffee spill, it felt different. I probably would have kept using this journal, but for my birthday, which was in June, my best friend gave me a new journal, and whilst I loved this journal, I kind of knew that it was time to move on, so I wrote a little thank you note in it, and this journal is done with. Would very much recommend Dingbats over Leuchtturm in terms of paper quality and notebook quality. Just holding this in my hands, it feels so much nicer to hold than my Leuchtturm one ever did. And here we go on to the final journal. As I mentioned, this was a gift. I assume my friend got it from Amazon. It's by Stationery Island, and I started this journal in July 2020, and I've done 3 months so far, so let me take you through them. So on the first page, you'll notice that I have this lovely sunflower with a rainbow behind it. I didn't do this, my friend did it. She also wrote a little note here, and it's very sweet, and it's one of the reasons I love using this journal. Now, the difference between this journal and the last two is that this journal wasn't set up for bullet journaling. It doesn't have a table of contents, which I didn't show you in the other two, but they have table of contents and they have numbered pages. This one doesn't have numbered pages, but to be honest, I don't really miss the numbered pages. And it gave me a little bit more freedom to set up my own bullet journaling basics page. I have my goals page. I did start my goals pages in my last journal, but I forgot to show you. They were more just lists, whereas this, I got this idea of Pinterest, and it's a little bit more ornate. With this journal, I really wanted to bring back some of the ornateness of my first journal, but in a way that I could easily manage. So you can see that this theme for July was hanging plants. I've got hanging plants on pretty much all of the pages, and I put my to-do list boxes into little post-it note style boxes instead. Again, the structure hasn't really changed that much, but it's a little bit more ornate, and there's a few more colours in each month. One thing I started with this journal was a gratitude page. At the end of every month, I have a list of all the days in that month, and then every day I go through and I write something that I was grateful for that day. I can look back on this and think, on the 10th of July, I was really happy about home cooking. I'm going into August. I really like how August turned out. I think the colour scheme was really pretty. I'm showing off my themes because I'm really proud of them in this journal. And I think there's a more cohesive style in this journal than the last one. There's sort of like a running theme throughout, and I'm having more fun with the themes and the designs. Just moving into September. I've literally only just started using September today. It is still August when I film this, but the first day of this week is in the September section. September is sunflower themed. quite obviously. You can see I haven't started using these yet either. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the way this bullet journal is turning out. I think whilst I was very sad about the coffee, it ended up being sort of a blessing in disguise. So at the end of September, we've got my creativity projects page, which is a focus for this month, and my gratitudes page, which I haven't started yet. I don't have many overarching things to say about bullet journaling. I would say, if you're thinking of starting, don't get bogged down by the things that everyone online says you have to have in a bullet journal. I think a bullet journal is an incredibly personal thing. I mostly use it for organising my life. Other people may use it for documenting their life. At the end of the day though, your bullet journal is for you. If it's not as ornate as this, or it's not as colourful as this, or it has different aspects to it than mine do, that's okay. Your bullet journal is for yourself, and no one can judge you on that. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. Stick around for more videos in the future, and I hope you live your life to the fullest.